I grew up in New York City, but Long Beach has really been my home. And so I got to know, I probably knew more about the city and the city charter than anybody except the city attorney and the city manager. And because I had been so involved with a lot of stuff in the city, I decided it might be a good time to run for the city council. I've written a number of books. My experience in Long Beach, if I didn't put it down on paper, nobody would. Put together really at the suggestion of Jerry Miller, who had been city manager at a while. And so I wrote this book, and it really is about the decade of the 70s when I served on the city council, and it's quite an eye-opener, I think, to people of what government in Long Beach was in 1970, and thank goodness we have a much different government today. There was 900 acres of vacant land, which had originally been part of what the Bixby family owned. And they were willing to sell it to the city. And property that's around Central Park is more valuable because it's near the park. And so when the city bought this 900 acres, it was with the intent that that land be used for a park. And the neighborhood, there were no houses anyplace near there at that east side of Long Beach, and we approached the city to follow through and put a park there. Well, parks, in their mind, parks don't raise money. They only cost money to maintain it. And so the city council at that time was not very interested. And finally, they agreed that they would put a ballot measure on and increase the property tax for 10 years for everybody in the city if you think you could get people to be willing. And I'm sure the council was sure that it would fail. Nobody's going to, vote to increase their property taxes. But we talked to a lot of groups. We got the PTAs involved, and every school put together groups of people who are interested in encouraging voting. Vote yes. And lo and behold, it passed. And I think, this has become a gem. Developers have their eye on it. What can they do to make money off that land? And the first thing because the city was growing and got more people were coming, and so the first thing they thought was, we'll build more houses. Remember, this is supposed to be open space. There were, as I said, the Angels baseball team was there, and there were members of the city council who said, oh, let's offer the Angels this opportunity to build. Can you imagine? Thousands of cars coming on Studebaker with all the people who live there already. My God, it would be terrible. All we knew was we wanted a park. We had no idea. You think of a park, you just think of grass. But the head at that time of the city's Parks and Recreation Department was a man whose name was Chance Hill. Chance Hill never would get as much credit as he deserved, because the city council didn't know either. What do you do with a park? And it was he who really put together all the kinds of uses that the community could find because this was a big bunch of space. And the golf course was a big part of that, and it still left a whole huge park available. What kinds of things you could offer. And there even the nature center. And there's for blind kids, there's a walkway and trail that they could hold on to and hear about what they were seeing. Team activities teams need space. And so it's the fact that a city will take the the needs of a community well in mind to say there's, raising taxes and money is very important, but what are you using it for? And the city is where the people live every day, and so having that area that one, it's restful to look and see a lot of green, but nonetheless you need a place for the whole family to recreate, and having a parks available makes it possible. Otherwise, you're going to get in your car and go drive to who knows where. It's what builds a community, in the finest sense of the word community. The PTAs were very involved. Every school in the city actually could see a need for the kids. The kids had soccer teams, they had baseball teams, tennis is a big interest to people, and it incorporated ultimately the Billie Jean King Tennis Center, but archery, all kinds of activity, any sport activity, we identified and brought into the team of people who would be working to convince the city council. And that's really what made the big difference, because there were so many groups who could see for their own families how this park could be of interest to them and useful to them, yeah. I see environmental and parks are really one ball of wax. We had open space across from Rogers Junior High, at that time, junior high school. And some of the kids thought that they would like to, how can we take that dirt space and do something with it? And the kids themselves put together they worked with the park department, with Transhill, and they were told what kind of trees would be well, and the kids planted those sapling trees, which today are huge. But that was and again, it's because that's what the community, what evolved from the people who are living there. Yeah, but that was a lovely thing and they came to me and they said, can you help us? And I said, of course I can help you. I mean, and in El Dorado Park, we've got a library, we have fire station, we have the animal shelter. There were places that the city could use that space as well. Gather groups together. Where would you like your kids to be playing? What would be a family activity? Build a desire from the people who are in the area, who will be using the parks. You need to look to whatever the needs are. The kids at Rogers Junior High School at that time had come to me and said, can we take this dirt across the street from our school and turn it into a little park? And I said, of course we can. And they put it together. They organized themselves. It was great leadership for those kids. And then I put them in touch with the city's Department of Parks, and they were willing to do the work. They got their families out on a Saturday. They dug holes and they were taught how to plant a tree so it'll grow. It's a place to be. I'll meet you at the park. That's it's part and parcel of the total community. The city has many opportunities. That is, what does the city manager, what does the city council think of in development? Why do you want, what kind of development do you want? And I think that the answer has to be development that's going to benefit the city as a whole and its tax base, but also the city as a whole. What is the image of the city throughout the state? How do people feel about Long Beach? I mean, and you want you added to the city feel about the Long Beach schools, about the Long Beach recreation areas, about the Long Beach as a responsive community to the need of the city hall as a responsive community to the needs of the people, and I think those are really critical to building a team. The city hall really has to be a part of your team, and development has benefits, but we have a port, we have an airport, we have oil, we have a jillion places to see revenue coming in, but and so you have to differently define development, I think, and to define it in your minds, and then see how the city, what is the city looking for? You want more development. What is more development? I mean, they've got a great new retail development at the airport. So development can mean different things to different people. And part of development is developing a community that is a community. Yeah. So I think that's the important. I can't believe that it's an issue. I can't believe that they're not clamoring for you to get busy and do it. Particularly on the west side of the river, because there really isn't. It's not like being down on the ocean where you got 5 miles of open space, or even we've got Recreation Park. It's huge, and so and there is a great need for more recreation and more park space in the 7th District. And so I would think that they would be very happy to have the community involved in, but I would urge you to keep stretching your imagination and how else could that land be used for, how else could the people use that land?